everybody. Welcome to Group Underworld, to artists from Underworld. Here we are in an incredible interview with the director of Frogman. That's right, Anthony Kositz. And here we are with Aaron Navarro, who is an interviewer of Group Underworld also. Frogman just got his trailer on Rumor magazine, but also yesterday we got the trailer on YouTube, so it's excellent. We are really excited with this found footage, and yeah, it's Frogman, not Kermit the Frog, not a Battletoad, nothing like that. It's Frogman. Frogman, it's real, and here we are going to talk about Frogman, the movie found footage. Hello, Anthony. How are you doing?
Hey, what's up? I'm good. I'm at the gym because I didn't take into consideration the time zone difference we have. So you're getting me very raw and early in the morning.
Yeah, but don't worry, you look incredible. You look really muscle, so it's incredible. And here we have Aaron in his office. He's more naturist, so here is with a tree and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, we're looking for frogs this morning.
Yeah.
Nice to talk to you.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, first of all, Anthony, we got a lot of questions in this interview. We are really excited. But the first of all, when you start this story about you want to make this film about the frogman, what was your inspiration for this creature? How does everything evolve to this story? Could you tell us about it?
Yeah, I feel like it's a lot of elements that kind of came together at the right time. We were making another short with my co-writer of Frogman, John Carsko. Like he was directing a short film that took place in a radio station, like a coast to coast type show, and we had a map of the U.S. on the wall as like set deck, and there in Ohio was the Loveland Frogman, and so none of us had ever heard of that before, and so we started researching it like in between takes. We're like, what the hell is this thing? And we were just really entertained that this is real, you've got Bigfoot, you've got Mothman, you've got the swamp ape, Loch Ness monster, like all these mythical creatures, all these cryptids that are, we have a lot of love for. They're all kind of plausible. And then you've got a humanoid frog with a wand, and that was just so hilarious to us. And at what point it became so real that we actually made a movie out of it, I can't even track back. But at some point we thought it was a good idea to make a Blair Witch style movie about people looking for this thing.
That's awesome. Yeah, in fact, I think we are like, when I saw this trailer, I remember a lot of those other movies in the past that they do, but found footage, but with Bigfoot. And it's incredible because I think this movie is like the dream of every person when you believe in this might, and you got this person that says it's real, we are going to record it, and then shit starts to happen, and then well you go to investigate to know more about this, but obviously the people doesn't believe you. So I think it is like a good kind of believing in this mind. So I don't know. For us in Mexico, we didn't know about the frogman. We didn't know anything about it. And when we check it, it was like, wow, this is extreme. This is hilarious also, but wow, we didn't know anything about it. It's like those American myths that maybe over the world, it's like something new. So that's incredible. Um, but yeah, I think that's the magic of the creatures like the frogman or the Bigfoot. But yeah. Uh Aaron, you got the second question.
Sure. Thank you, man. Anthony, I could perceive in the trailer there's a lot of well, first of all, these are like kind of two questions linked by. First of all, the why the found footage? Because it's a genre that it's been overexploded. Maybe some people are even tired that they kind of say it's the same thing. What's new with it? There's nothing new. It's just the same scare jumps and everything. So that's the first part that I would like you to tell us about. And the other one about the influences, because I mean, the found footage genre, I remember that was kind of a holocaust, and obviously the Blair Witch Project, which I think aesthetically really looks like it, at least on the trailer. No, so tell me about the influences and why the decision of making it a found footage.
Yeah, well, I personally love found footage. I think like any subgenre of horror, there's like when it's good, it's really, really good, and when it's bad, it's really bad. And I think there's still great found footage movies being made today. I think there always have been. Like, yeah, it has like its rise and fall, but they're always out there if you look for them. And my take on found footage is it's got to be justified. Like you got to look at the story and go, this story is better because it's told through found footage. You know, if you look at it and you're like, oh, we could tell like a traditional movie and it's just as good if not better, then don't make it found footage. But it really worked for our story about our character who I think it all started with like you know the blurry footage that you see of cryptids, like that iconic Patterson Gimlin footage of Sasquatch. So we kind of started there, like what if somebody caught that kind of footage and then went further, went back to look for this creature and made a whole documentary out of it. And that's kind of where it started. And the other part of that was I love the modern found footage movies that are coming out. Um, but they're so crisp. And that's not a problem. Like that's not a like a critique or anything. I just miss the really down and dirty, gritty, like lo-fi found footage movies. And they're kind of having this weird resurgence in the evolution of the genre with analog horror, which isn't necessarily like found footage, but it's this lo-fi kind of quality to it. So that was another thing I wanted to try to do was justify that we're making a modern day found footage movie, but we're shooting it on like high 8 tape.
Sounds great.
That's great.
Also, this is linked with your, well, the format that you are using is that it's video on demand, but also you are checking the VHS. So that's it's spectacular. I mean, we love it. I think for any horror maniac, this is awesome because I don't know what happens with the horror guys that we love VHS more than DVD or Blu-ray or even streaming, right? So I
Yeah.
don't know. This was linked. You got this influence also that I want to make this like this kind of found footage, but also I want to deliver it to the VHS. That was the idea in the at the start.
Well, it's really funny. Like we started making this. I mean, we started writing it in 2018 and we shot it in 2021. VHS even happened. Um, and since then, yeah, like finding old VHS that you used to have has blown up, and even more so is new movies coming out on VHS, like through companies like Lunch Meat. Um, so it was just kind of a funny timing thing where when we decided to release, I saw that like VHS was making this huge comeback, and like what new movie that's releasing makes more sense to release on VHS than a movie shot on high 8, because there's not a whole lot of those going around right now. So I thought it'd be really fun if we released on VHS, and furthermore, if that was the only way to see it for at least a little bit before we went VOD.
Yeah. That's nice. I think it's incredible, and also this delivery this is more for the idea, like I just recorded this and this is what happened, right?
Yeah.
Did you got any experience in your life? I don't know, any inspiration about it? I don't know, like a mythology, like I don't know, aliens, Bigfoot, ghosts, I don't know, leprechauns. I don't know, any kind of monster stuff. Did you get some experience that I don't know, you got this paranormal experience and you wanted to record it and maybe that was kind of your inspiration or not? This was just like by your head, like this is something cool that will happen. I don't know.
I mean, I wish I had that experience. I haven't experienced anything like that yet, but like part of the inspiration for sure was the fact that, like, you know, we used to go on like family vacations every summer in Minnesota, where I'm from. And my dad had a high 8 camera, and he would shoot like crazy. He would just shoot everything we're doing as we're camping, playing in the lake, whatever. And we actually shot Frogman on that same high 8 camera, and I recorded over my family tapes because that's all I had at the time. And he, you know, he saved all those. He transferred them to DVD, so they're safe. But yeah, so we literally recorded over those, and I think, you know, Blair Witch came out when I was a kid, and seeing that movie and then being on family vacations and playing with that camera of my dad's in the woods, even though I never experienced anything, just looking at the world through that camera, you feel like you're in a found footage movie, you know, like, you know, you put the camera down and you're like, oh, I'm on a family vacation, I'm safe. You put that camera up and you're like, something's about to come out. I'm going to capture something, you know? So I think that was definitely a big inspiration.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Also, by filming in Super 8 and all those little formats that are practically extinct, what were the challenges by making it a film, a long feature bite? Because I think it's different, especially in a digital era where they don't even, well, everything is well easy and well done. No, this is shit. You need to capture it, and you don't need to mess it up because it's a big fucking problem if you do it right. So tell me about those challenges, because I think that also is one, right?
Yeah, well, I'd say, like, first and foremost, the biggest challenge is like, if you just put that camera in the hands of your actors and let them wander around, it's naturally going to feel really authentic. You know, it's going to feel like found footage. When you get to the moments where there's a person in a creature suit, or there's some sort of gag, there's an effect, there's something that really needs to be like rehearsed and staged, uh, it's really hard to keep that authenticity feel to that. That was really challenging. Um, and yeah, you know, the original intent was to shoot this all on like a high, or not a high, like a high def, like 6K camera, like a modern camera, and make it look like high 8 later. And I had that high 8 tape around to just like capture reference. And so on day one, I was like shooting everything on this really nice camera, this modern camera, and then I was shooting a little bit on my high 8 camera to get some reference footage. And I realized, like, what a waste of time. Like, this is going to be such a waste of time to try and make this nice, beautiful, crisp footage look like shit later. Like, why not just shoot as movie as we can on this camera? So that's what we ended up doing. And it has qualities that no camera today has. Like, the way it zooms, the way it focuses is just so unique. And you can't, I mean, I'm sure you can replicate it, but it is so hard to replicate, like, because it's just so special. Yeah, and some of the night stuff and some stuff that we knew was maybe going to need some VFX, probably we did shoot on a higher def camera and then transferred to high 8 in post, which was another weird process of, like, you know, like, we tried filters, we tried all sorts of weird stuff, and it's like, this all feels fake, it doesn't feel real. And I was like, why don't we just transfer all this footage to a high 8 tape and then transfer it back to digital? So that's what we ended up doing.
That's a nice touch.
And what about the practical effects? Because wow, well, we just watched the trailer, and when we watched the trailer, we were you at the ending. You watch this like, what the fuck is happening to this guy? It's a frogman, weird, it's strange, zombie guy. I don't know. It's like a freaking monster. The practical effects look good, look terrific, and look bizarre, you know. So what was the experience with the practical effects? Because here in Group Underworld, we love the practical effects. We think like the soul of a horror movie, it's the practical effects, are the effects. So what was the experience? What was the challenge? And what was that design idea that you got, I don't know, at the start with the frogman, at the end? I don't know if you think like a frog of hell comes to Frog Town, but but I don't know, the results are really scary, and that is incredible.
Thank you. Yeah. Hell It Comes to Frogtown, definitely a big influence. Love that movie. Um, yeah, I have a long history with practical effects. My buddy Ryan Shadley, I've worked with him for over a decade on short films and like our scare package segments. Um, and then now Becky Ingram, who is a frequent collaborator with us. They they came up with the Frogman design. They made all the special effects. Um, and I totally agree. Like practical effects, those are the soul of a horror movie. And that's something I kept coming back to over and over and over while we were making this movie. I kept saying, if we don't deliver on Frogman in a movie called Frogman, then we failed. Like nothing else really matters. Like, yes, I want great performances. I want a good story. I want good footage, but we have to deliver on the Frogman. So that was always at the heart of our intent. And I love Blair Witch. I love Willow Creek. Those movies were huge influences, but they do leave you wanting a little bit more, don't they? And that's kind of the beauty of them. That's why they work. But it, for our purposes, I was like, I don't think we can make a movie called Frogman and just tease him and not see him. Like we got to see some crazy shit go down. So yeah, if you know if found footage is your thing, I think you're going to enjoy the whole ride. But when you get to the third act, I think it's worth the wait. If you want creatures, you're going to get them.
That's great. Also, well, of course, Frogman plays out with a mythology about a creature, about a belief, and about the fact that it plays, at least what we can see in the trailer, uh, about the disbelief and the truth, right? It's like I believe that's also a very important theme in the film. So, what do you think about the mythology, and what do you think about these myths that can be true or can be false, and the posture that maybe people have about it? Because they can destroy a person's life that says, I believe in that guy, in that thing, in that creature. But if everyone doesn't do it, it just becomes like a farce and a lie, and they can destroy lives even.
Yeah, that is, I mean, that's a really fascinating aspect of just cryptids in general, is like the people who are willing to come out and say like, no, I saw this thing, you know, and you got to look at these people and think, are they out of their minds, or are they telling the truth, or do they think they're telling the truth but they experience something else, you know, like with Frogman. You know, some accounts, some of the firsthand accounts have kind of walked back and been like, oh, you know what, I think it was a big iguana or something like that. But then there's, and it's like, okay, sure, you know, like it's nighttime, you're not expecting to see a giant iguana. Maybe your imagination gets carried away. But then there's people that have seen the frogman, multiple frogmen in the woods holding wands, magical wands, shooting sparks out of them together. And it's like, where the hell did that come from? I mean, whether someone saw something that they confused for that, or they're just making it up, like what incredible imagination, you know? And maybe it is real. We don't know. There's so much we don't know about this world. It's very possible there's a you know, a dimensional rift in the woods of Loveland, Ohio, and these frog humanoids are coming through it. I don't know. Um, so that was really fun to play with, and especially, you know, the funny thing is in reality, Loveland hasn't completely embraced Frogman, like not in the sense that like Point Pleasant has embraced Mothman or anything like that. So we didn't we felt like we had the opportunity to take some leniency and go kind of crazy with the mythology because there wasn't really anyone keeping it in check. And then sure enough, after making the movie, all of a sudden a Frogman festival starts in Loveland, Ohio, and it's a massive hit. They had their first one last year, and their second one is this March, and they invited us to screen there, and I'm like, oh God, like we didn't shoot in Loveland. I've never been to Loveland. Like we make your town seem kind of crazy. I'm like, I don't know, man. This is really going to be the test of like if we did Frogman justice or not.
Wow, that's great. I think, and that feeling, what do you feel when you watch all the persons watching the movie at the end? What was the? I mean, you're excited. I obviously know that you were excited. Nervous, I think, about about the parts that they will get scary and stuff like that. What was the result? how did you see the people at the end? What do you think about it? Tell us a little bit.
Hmm. It's honestly, it is such a huge relief that people are enjoying themselves because, like I said, we started writing this in 2019. We shot in 2021. There were so many times along the journey of seeing this movie to completion that I just wanted to throw in the towel, and like cut my losses. I became so demystified with it. Like, is anyone going to care about this? Is it any good? You see the same footage over and over, and you're part of creating the cake, from every single step, the ingredients. So when you see it in its final form, it doesn't really affect you anymore. Um, so it's such an amazing experience to get to watch it with audiences and like hear their reactions and hear their excitement and their enjoyment of it, because that's really the only way when you're a filmmaker, that's really the only way that you can truly like appreciate what you've created. Because it's really ironic, like we make movies because we love movies and we want to make movies that we want to see, but then we make movies that we can never enjoy ourselves.
Well, that's true.
I got also a question. Maybe it's more philosophical in some way. Um, well, we all know you made the film, you enjoyed the process, maybe with some a little bit of a pain in the path of making it and finally finishing it. But I'm curious, what would you do if you, Anthony, faced up with a real creature, a real frogman in a way? What would happen? Would you run? Would you really document it? Well, what I would want to know your encounter. What would you do with your encounter?
Oh man, I don't know. I think I'd be like a dog chasing a car. I don't even know what I'd want to do or what I would do, but I'd go after it, I think. I don't know. I guess it depends on what the real, you know, frogman would look like. It might scare the pants off of me and I run the other way, but I think I'd want him to hit me with the wand. I don't know. Like, whether he turns me into a frog or turns me like, annihilates me or turns me into a prince. I don't know. I think I'd want to get hit with that wand and see what happens.
That would be great. Maybe the frogman watches the film and says, "Hey, Anthony, let's talk."
Yeah, well, yeah, this March when we go to Loveland, Ohio, we're gonna go out in those woods for sure. I hope to see him.
That's great. Also, I see that this is your first movie with more. This is your longest film, right? 80 minutes. Because I know that you were on a Scare Package, the first movie and the second, which are incredible movies. For people that are watching this, watch Scare Package in Shudder, the best streaming service of horror. But the thing is that Scare Package is incredible, but this is your first the longest movie that you have done. What was the experience? How do you feel it? Like making this full movie? What was your, I don't know, what do you think about the experience, the difference? What do you think about it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've made over the last decade, I've made quite a few short films. Even the scare packages, those are technically just, my segments are like 12 minutes. Um, so we're never shooting for more than 3 days at a time on those kinds of things. So to know what you're making, to keep the tone present and consistent, it's not super challenging. Of course, the experience I had on those short films set me up to be able to do this. Like I couldn't have done it without that experience. But the thing I've always been worried about is like, man, when you're making a feature, you're not shooting for 3 days, you're shooting for 10 to 30 days, and you're shooting way out of sequence. You might shoot something in the third act in your first week of shooting. And what I've always worried about is like, how do you know what movie you're making, until you're in the middle of making it? Because there is so much, like, it kind of takes on a life of its own. And like, unless you meticulously plan out everything from the start, you got to leave a little bit of improvisation there. You got to leave a little bit of room for it to be what it wants to be. Especially when you're working on a lower budget, you can't control as much of the elements, so you really got to like be ready to kind of like roll with the punches. Um, and that was definitely a challenge. We shot for 10 days, and there were some things that just weren't working in the script, and we took a break and rewrote a lot of stuff and came back and shot the rest of it and reshot a lot of things that we shot in those first 10 days, because it was just like everything we got was good, but it was like, okay, the first act stuff is great, second act stuff is great, third act stuff is great, but the third act feels like it belongs to a different movie. Like it doesn't gel with the other two. So yeah, that was really interesting. And you know, this is found footage is definitely a different beast than shooting things the traditional way with coverage and having more control. Um, which I've never done found footage before, so that was very new to me too. But I am very interested to see what it's like to make a feature. You know, if that tonal consistency gets any easier to control when it's not found footage.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, that's
Oh,
right.
yeah. I would
Okay.
like, I don't know if there's some more time, but if there's a final question, I would like to know something. You talked about the authenticity of the film and the found footage, the importance of it, and now the challenges that it brings to bring it up as a long feature. So I want to know about the actors, because sometimes directors pick actors who are professional actors that have to simulate something, and sometimes they play out with normal people that they say, well, you look like the guy that I need for the film. I need to prepare you the best I can, and I want you to drop into the personal hell I want to drive you in. So how was it with the actors, the casting process, and working with some of them who were professionals and maybe weren't, because I think that's also part of the essence.
Yeah, working with people that aren't traditionally actors, it's really tricky. And yeah, we experienced that to varying degrees of success on Frogman, I think. It did cause some issues here and there. But as far as our main cast, the core three, they're all three that I've worked with in the past. I know they're brilliant. We wrote the roles for them, so they really just had to show up and be themselves, honestly, which I think, you know, that was a big part of trying to capture that authenticity. You know, and like I said, we shot out of order. We picked, like we paused and we picked up shooting again. And over the course of making this movie, um, they got more comfortable with the improv, and I can tell, like it's like you know, what scenes like work like way better because they're getting more comfortable with going with the authenticity and not feeling so scripted. But there was a mixture of that for sure. Like we had a full script, like a pretty solid script we could always lean back on, and we did from time to time. Um, but I always try to encourage, you know, just do what feels good, you know, like yeah, the script's there if we need it, but like really like here's what needs to happen in this scene, and you know, get there however you want to.
Excellent. I
That's right.
think that's a great idea for a kind of found footage movie, because the authenticity and the natural aspect of a human being, I think, is there. I mean, to feel scary, to talk like ordinary stuff, because I think that found footage, you need to be more ordinary, and when that extraordinary comes, firstly needs to be more ordinary, natural, the characters that are not the creatures. So that's incredible, I think. Lastly, this is the last question. You know, this is artists from underworld. This interviews for artists from underworld, which is we make these interviews also to know the movie and also to inspire more people in the horror business to understand that we can live from creating monsters, creatures, and making more horror in this world. So I would love to hear your one advice that you have to all those filmmakers that want to make horror, that want to make stuff that they love, and also that they, I don't know, if someone there wants to make found footage, what advice will you give? That will be the last question. And finally, also, well, here in Mexico, we would love to watch your film. We know that it's video on demand and the VHS. So I don't know. We just want to hear you by, I don't know, this film will be, we could buy it, we could rent it. If not, well, I don't know, persons. be checking a new VHS for your living room. That's right.
Yeah, we'll be VOD on March 8th. For you can rent it or buy it. Should be available in Mexico also on Google, Apple, Amazon, all the places you usually go to see movies. I'll be making some Blu-rays with special features. And I'll just be selling those directly from like my Instagram, I guess, because I'm just making them myself. So, find me on Instagram, cousins_Anthony, if you want a physical copy. I love what you guys are doing. I love your mission statement. I want more people making monsters and more people, just being able to create and live off their creations versus I'm still working a day job. I've always had to have some sort of day job because this isn't paying the bills yet, but I hope this is a big step towards getting there. And what I'll say for advice, first and foremost, is persistence matters more than anything. Like, I think more than talent, more than nepotism, which we've seen that those things can get you a long way in this business. I think when you look at the people who really have success, like in the film world, is people that just don't give up. It's not necessarily the people that are best at what they do. It's just the people that won't go away. And the other thing I'll say is just if you want to make a movie, make the movie that you want to see. Make a movie that doesn't exist in the world already, that you wish did exist. And in my experience, other people will want to see that movie. Nobody was asking for a Frogman movie. Absolutely nobody. And that was something that me and the people that I work with did want to see. We were like, why doesn't a Frogman movie exist? That'd be cool. We'd watch it. And so that's what we did. We didn't do what seemed like would be a surefire bet. Like, Frogman didn't seem like a financially viable story to bet on. It was just what we thought would be cool and hoped others would think would be cool too. And it seems like they do. So I guess follow your heart, as cliche as that sounds, like it's worked for us so far.
No, that's incredible.
That's great. I think you're very right on that one. I mean, we didn't ask for Frogman. I mean, I don't think the people were asking for a cocaine bear either. So, but we have it. What the hell? So.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, that's an incredible advice. I think a lot of people will be really inspired with it, and also a lot of persons are excited right now to watch your film, and they surely, when they watch your film and they think about it, I think they will believe that any creature, any monster that they want to talk about it and making it real, it can happen. It is real. We make real our nightmares. So yeah,
that's right.
That's true. Well, thank you very much, Anthony Cousins. This is incredible. We love this interview. We are really excited to watch Frogman. Remember, folks, everyone watching this in Group Underworld, March 8th. It's the March 8th. That's right. The movie March 8th. Frogman will be on that date. So watch it. You need to watch it because the Frogman is here. The Frogman is a real thing. You will love it. And maybe at the end of the movie, you will become Kermit the Frog or something like that by the magic of the Frogman. So yeah, thank you very much, Anthony Cousins. Thank you very much, Aaron Navarro, to being here. And well, see you in Group Underworld for more stuff, for more horror and more creatures and maybe more fragments. Bye-bye.